Roadkill Garage. We're here at the Roadkill Zip-Tie Drags, hunting for our very first win at our own event. Here's the saga of the car that we call the Caddy Gremmie. Way back a couple years ago, my buddy Brian Lones and I did a show actually for Facebook called the 3K Hoopty Challenge. It was a spin-off of the Zip-Tie Drags event where we make people race cars that are worth less than $3,000. So a guy shows up with this 1974 AMC Gremlin, and it's got a Cadillac 500 cubic inch V8 in it. All junkyard parts. I fell in love with the car and bought it on site. And you first saw it in episode 89 of Roadkill, where we picked the thing up at the end of the episode where Finnegan got that big white older Cadillac. And then it was episode 42 of Roadkill Garage, where Dulcich and I were gonna dive in and make it fast. And I was doing epic burnouts out there. And then I over-revved it and it developed a really bad rod knock, and it's been rotting ever since. You can see the filth and dog prints all over the thing. So this episode is gonna be out with this Cadillac 500 and in with a fresh one, and theoretically we're gonna drive it to the Zip-Tie Drags in Tucson.
I think that theory will be proven in this episode. And what happens when you prove a theory? It becomes scientific fact.
That's right. How do you want to start? I would like to give it a minor power wash job.
I would suggest just using the air nozzle and blowing everything.
There's a lot of poop on there.
You can put on a mask to protect your lungs.
They used to suggested it. That's your job.
No.
All right, Dulcich's gonna blow off the poop, and we're gonna roll this thing inside and swap out that engine.
Oh, man. Really, Freiburger should be doing this. It's his car. My mom told me not to get into showbiz. It's not all glamour, boys and girls. All right, Freiburger, check it out. I've stepped up our game considerably here with this.
I can spill much more water once you fill that up. It'll be great.
I actually got this from a fan, believe it or not.
Really?
Stopped by with this pan saying, I'm tired of seeing you get splashed with water and water all over the floor. I'm gifting you this pan. And now it's going to be proof of concept because not one drop on the floor or my person.
Go ahead. So we're going to start disassembling the 500 here. We had nothing to do with installing this engine in this car, so I'm sure we're going to run into some pretty surprising stuff along the way. I guess I will begin by taking the air cleaner off.
Can you pull that hose off from up top?
Radiator hose off.
Oh!
How'd it work?
Minimal debris. A little bit of coolant on the floor.
Wow, people ask why we don't have a lift.
That's a good question.
Because our idea of an upgrade is to have a pan so we don't drain water directly on the floor.
Leaking goo everywhere.
Ow.
That's why I like water better than antifreeze, even though it makes your engines crack. After scrutinizing the situation here, it looks like the engine and transmission have to come out as a unit because the bell housing bolts on the transmission are right up against the firewall. You can't even get a wrench on it, and even if you could, the bolts would just hit the firewall. So zip the motor mount bolts off, gonna drop the tranny cross member, pull the drive shaft, and pull the whole shooting match out as one unit.
Okay, it's on there.
I'm going in, Freiburger. Are you ready for this?
Yep. I need angulation. Okay, remember once we get some weight on this thing, we still have to pull out the motor mount bolts. Right now, all the weight of the engine is on them, so they won't come out. So we gotta try and give it a mid-dangle.
And there's almost no way to get to the one on the right side.
Yeah, you gotta give it a little reach around. Okay.
Are you having any luck? Oh, that is just the genius of Freiburger at work. You just walk that bolt out with the impact.
Yep.
Oh, if you can get the pry bar underneath the bolt head, you might be able to...
Don't bother me with all your jibber-jabber, Dulcich.
Oh, Freiburger. So now, in theory, this thing should be completely...
Uh-oh.
It's wedging against the cross member.
You know, normally when you put the CAD 500 in the Gremlin, it'll just swing right in and out, but for whatever reason, the way this thing is put together, the oil pan wedges right hard up against the cross member in a way that doesn't allow the engine to move enough to get the transmission anywhere. So what we're trying to do now is get the Turbo 400 separated from the engine in the car, which is also not gonna be any fun at all.
Now all we need to do is lower the transmission, then remove the transmission.
There, it's free. It's off the engine 100%.
Oh no. Something's just fallen horribly out of position. We're losing transmission fluid at an alarming rate.
Shocker. That's gonna be fun to get back in.
Oh, it's capsized. The transmission. I can't even look.
Is it puking everywhere?
Yeah. I'm just gonna completely ignore the transmission debacle and move on to ruining the engine. At this point, it's just up and out. Remove that engine.
This doesn't install good.
No.
There we go.
All right.
Check this out. These are the homemade headers that the guy did so that he could get the CAD 500 in the Gremmie. This would have been really common in the 50s to do what's called a log manifold, which is just like one tube with each of these dumping into. This destroys power. This is the worst. But this one here is particularly entertaining. That was more of a battle than I expected, but here comes the tasty part. We have a brand new, freshly rebuilt Cadillac 500 here. It came from Courtney Hines at cad500parts.com. He's the specialist in these things. It is the same exact engine. As a matter of fact, I didn't know that it was gonna come all upgraded with like a complete pulley system, HEI, Edelbrock Performer intake, but of course it's all freshened up. This thing has good connecting rods in it, forged pistons, 9-to-1 compression. He didn't tell us what the super secret hydraulic flat tappet camshaft is. It does have fully ported heads on it. He offers several levels of his cylinder heads, and we were able to sort of finger the exhaust port here and feel that they are nice and smooth and ported. He estimates this thing is gonna make 500 horsepower. I guarantee that does not happen through those headers. But now we're ready to swap some parts over and dump this thing back in, and I gotta clean up the engine compartment a little bit, right? I got to. You know, Dulcich, I have a philosophical problem with installing this Cadillac 500.
You do?
Yes. We did nothing to assemble this engine. It is extremely rare that we install an engine that we didn't have at least some part of building. It's probably going to be super reliable and fast as a result. So when the gasket has like a tan side or black side and an embossed side, I put the embossed side towards the manifold. What was your rule, Dulcich?
When in doubt, metal out.
All right, ready to put it in?
Yes.
Push towards firewall. There you go.
Oh, something is scraping.
Yeah.
Freiburger, this thing's almost in.
I know. So at this point, we got the engine about halfway in. It's looking like it might actually go. This isn't the nightmare. The transmission is going to be the disaster. There you go. I'm on. 100%. Woohoo! How about you?
I am in like Flynn, buddy. That is an install.
You know, we weren't actually hired for our mechanical ability. It was for my good looks and Steve's comedy, so.
I mean, when I was in acting school, I'd never imagined that I'd have to work on cars.
No, me neither.
Yeah. This jack doesn't roll.
Swing her in there.
Are you serious?
Install it.
Okay, it's hitting the firewall. It's gonna go more forward.
Okay, ready?
It's got it.
There, that felt good, right?
That's line.
Okay.
Okay.
We got the transmission mounted up, but there's a whole bunch left to do. Dulcich is doing the converter bolts. We have to do cross member, cooler lines, all of that stuff. But I had to do the shifter, which reminded me that the shifter in this thing is really hokey. I don't know what's broken about it, but somehow it just goes right into reverse and I can't, see how it's got no ratchet action? So I'm just gonna have to pull it out and replace it with a racier one. Okay, this is kind of a cool side story. Remember the 71 Plymouth Satellite from a prior episode of Roadkill Garage? Dulcich bought the thing. It had a 3D3 in it. We sort of cobbled the thing together in order to go do burnouts and stuff. It was fun, but then Dulcich sold the car to our crew guy Wiley here, and then he had to give him an engine because the 3D3 that was in it had a broken block, but there's a hook. He told him he would sell him the car cheaper if he could drive it all the way to the Zip-Tie Drags. So while we're working on the Gremlin, he's out here trying to make it happen. Wiley, what are you doing?
Trying to figure out my fuel shortage issue.
Runs bad?
Runs bad. I got a fuel pressure gauge right on the carb, and as soon as I punch it, goes from 6 pounds right down to 0.
Oh, okay.
And I know the fuel pump's good, so I'm thinking bad sending unit, dirty sock.
Yeah,
Something like
I
that.
hope that's it. Either that or it's a clog upstream.
Right.
You don't have a fuel
Line.
filter before the pump, do you?
I did, and now I don't.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
He actually knows the fuel pump's good because I gave him one off the Gremlin. Let me know if you need more free parts.
All right, cool, thanks.
This junk is installed. First, second, third, neutral, reverse, park. Man, making progress. Consistent with the quality of this vehicle, Dulcich is about to stack 5 carburetor gaskets in 1 plate on this thing because the linkage hits the manifold. Is that the deal?
The accelerator pumps front and back.
Oh, yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
They don't intend you to have a double pumper on the
really-
Performer intake.
You really like quadrojets, these Cadillac engines.
Oh, yeah, that would be much better.
That's
But
what I
this
hear.
is an 850 Holley annular discharge. So see these boosters in the carburetor? These are different than the down leg boosters that you would see in a normal Holley. And they call them annular discharge because around here, there's holes all around the underside of it in a circle, like an anus. Annulus.
Annulus.
Like an annulus. There you go.
Right.
Install it.
Use the right terminology here, Freiburger.
Thanks, Dulcich. I was going straight for the crude joke, and you went to the scientific, factual information. For some reason, we can't get the starter to crank. I must have cut a wire somewhere, and we don't have time to troubleshoot it. We're trying to hustle out of here. So I just took some speaker wire here, and what we're gonna do is connect one of these to the positive battery terminal and the other to the start terminal on the starter relay, run it inside, and then simply inside touch the two in order to get it to crank. When all else fails, resort to butchery. Works virtually every time. Nice. Fun time, making the Gremmie look like a race car. I bought some super cheap wheels for these things. These are from Summit Racing, and I think the rears were like 99 bucks each. They're really cheap. They're from Vision Wheel. I got a 15x4 in the front, 15x7 with 4-inch back spacing in the back. I got a 25-inch lightweight drag tire on the front and a Hoosier street legal slick in the back that's 27x10 50-15. Now we're gonna have to drive it to Tucson on some radial rollers I put on the back. We'll bring our slicks with us, and then it's gonna look super cool. I hope it runs good. It's got oil pressure.
Are all the lug nuts tight?
Yep. It definitely does not like to run good cold.
No, but we didn't give it a super tune. Roll into it in first gear. This thing's fast.
Wow. We gotta change the seating position. I don't remember complaining about that last time. Let me see if it'll
launch. You just have to give it a little RPM.
It's spinning them.
Oh, bogged.
It needs squirter.
It's got two 50cc pumps on it already.
Somehow they're not working. Maybe it has a slow cam or something.
Man, it takes off pretty good.
Okay, that part is fantastic.
This thing has so much torque, it's incredible. I'm looking at the tachometer.
Me too. I shipped it at 4,000 last time.
Oh, you did?
I'm scared.
I don't think you ever had her wide open, though. Oh!
Had to be careful. That went to 55.
I know.
What we're talking about is that I killed the last Cadillac 500 by over revving it and it developed a rod knock. These things have a bad oiling system, and CAD Company modified this one. I don't know how.
But we still don't completely trust it.
He said 5,500. I think I'm sticking to 5. I just don't, you know.
We don't want to risk it. We were already like down 500 cubic inch Cadillac engines.
Maybe the Caddy Gremmie is every bit as great as we remembered.
Maybe it's even better now, except for the seat position and the
position's terrible.
The off-the-line fog.
Yeah. Okay, that was kind of frustrating. You saw us go for a test drive, and I was super whiny about a couple things. The seat, solved by reclining it. It's not great, it's good enough. Then there was the engine bog that was really getting on my nerves. So Steve and I talked through it a bunch. We were looking at the carburetor. We were thinking maybe it had some dirt in it. We were talking about the squirters in it and maybe how it wasn't getting enough fuel or maybe too much fuel. And then we started to look at the ignition timing, and what we saw is just like some weird nonsensical action on the distributor advance curve that was telling us that something was wrong with the old HEI distributor in the engine. Now, I don't blame the guy we got the engine from. He told us he was giving us a bunch of used parts, and so that's why that distributor is bad. It was old. HEIs get something wrong with the module, and you just can't solve it. It's a mystery. We solved it by putting in the distributor out of our old engine. Dulcich jerked it out while I was removing the old distributor. We slapped it back in. We set the timing. Hunky-dory. I'm so convinced that this thing is fixed that we're going to go out there and verify it with some burnouts and some fun, and then we are going directly to hitting the road for Tucson. This is one car you want in a straight line before you stab it. Yeah, it's so short. Oh yeah.
It breaks the tires loose at will.
It has a hair of a hesitation.
A little bit, but if he launched it off the converter, I think he can get a pretty good hole shot.
Yeah, I think so. We're ready?
Yeah.
Oh, you can go forever.
Yeah. Shift it. Yeah.
Okay, that might have been the greatest distance we've ever done. I admit I was dragging the brake.
That might have been the easiest burnout that we've ever done.
And I was making sure it was only 4,500 RPM.
I saw that.
You see me checking the tag?
Oh, yeah.
I just fear the Cadillac oil system.
Do you think you can maintain wheel speed and a steady state burnout after a second gear shift from a brake stand?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, I've got to see it.
Convinced?
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
All right, ready to go to Tucson for the Zip-Tie Drags?
I think we're proven we're road ready, for sure.
The Gremlin is returning to its natural home. Oh, yeah. Signing vehicles is always a part of our events, which is weird to me, but I appreciate these guys a lot. We made it to the kickoff of the Zip-Tie Drags here at Irwindale Speedway in California. Now, we actually had the crew tow the Gremlin down here because we were all scattered yesterday.
Yeah.
But now we're actually going to road trip it all the way to Tucson.
Your prediction?
My prediction?
Yeah.
Pure success, Dulcich. You know how I know?
How?
You're driving.
Okay.
So we got about 100 cars here. Everybody's lining up right now and taking off. And we're gonna jump in with the pack and hit the road and hopefully make it. It's on you.
Oh, there's no problem at all. What could go wrong?
Caddy Gremmie! Tucson! Where's our final pressure, Freiburger?
Are you serious?
I'm having palpitations now. I was so excited about hitting the road for Tucson, and we have no oil pressure.
Steve had this thing running, fooling around, getting ready to go, hooting and screaming and revving, and now it has no oil pressure at all. Remove the line off the back of the gauge and squirt it into that bucket right there. Okay, we got to take it off the other end. We tested the oil pressure by taking the line off the back of the gauge and it didn't squirt oil. So now we've got the gauge line off the back of the engine. I'm just gonna crank it. I'm not even gonna start it and it should puke. Nothing? Seriously. It literally has no oil pressure. How is that possible? Let's hook up Wiley's gauge.
I hate these nylon lines. I was so proud of our copper line until I realized it failed us.
Yeah. That is still 0. Fuel pump's not on. Dude, that showed 0 the whole time. It doesn't have any oil pressure.
Okay, I'm maintaining a remarkable amount of composure here.
Yes, I was gonna mention that.
But in fact, there's an inner rage burning. One which may reveal itself at any moment in a fit of uncontrollable anger and pain and anxiety.
Let's take a valve cover off. That one's easier. This one's got brake lines in the way. Everyone is gone except us. Oh, perfect.
Oh, look at that.
We
Came
did
right
it
off.
great. Oh, look.
Okay, now we know why you have no oil pressure.
So there's a push rod missing here completely. So is this one. It was running on 7 cylinders. 2 push rods fell out of it, which means it kicked the lifters up, which is why it has no oil pressure. See, the end of this one is completely chewed up right there. So the Cadillac 500 is now junk, and we'll be walking to Tucson.
We can ride with Wiley.
We could ride with Wiley. That's what's gonna happen.
All right, boys, buckle up.
And we made it to one of our favorite drag strips in the world, Tucson Dragway, for the Roadkill Zip-Tie Drags. We kind of did it in shameful fashion, though.
No, I know. Heartfelt shame, actually.
Yeah, it was shame. Here's what happened. We rode with Wiley in the 71 Satellite for a while, but we looked at the Google map. We're like, we're never gonna get here in time. And there was like 1,000+ fans waiting to see us here. So we hopped in the video van and we cannonballed and we got here and we had an awesome night.
It was great.
People pouring beers down our throats,
Oh, no.
wine, women, and song. It was amazing. And we're like, how are we gonna end this episode, Dulcich? And then we realized we've got
Boom.
the Disgusting and the Vanishing Paint. I've never taken the Disgusting down a track anywhere of any kind. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I know I'm gonna beat you in my car because you're gonna be driving the Vanishing Paint.
Either way, it's your car,
So
right?
I win either way. All right, let's run them.
All right.
Yes, I wanted to be in the Caddy Gremmie, but I gotta tell you, I am super excited to take the Disgusting down the track for my very first time. It's got a 410-inch small block, it's got an American Powertrain 5-speed, 373s, Detroit locker, and I've never taken it down a track. So I'm gonna build up the excuses right now and tell you don't ridicule me when I either bog it off the line or spin the tires and when I granny shift it, because I don't know how to launch this thing and I don't want to break it, but I'm gonna beat Dulcich anyway.
I get to race Freiburger in one of my favorite cars, the Vanishing Paint Challenger. Under the hood, a 360 Mopar small block, hopped up but nothing crazy. Transmission, just a 727 torque flight automatic, nothing special there. In the back, a 9-inch forward rear end with 3 O gears. Now that's gonna hurt me here because I'm only gonna go through the quarter mile using first and second gears. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be enough to take out Freiburger in the Disgusting. Wish me luck.
All systems go. I'm super excited to race this car. I hope it goes quick. I really, really do. I can't even make an estimate because I don't know what's gonna happen here.
All right, I'm waiting on Freiburger and his big burnout.
Okay, burnout worked good. that time and spun the tires, but this thing doesn't have any traction device, as in no slapper bars, no Caltrax, none of that. 160 degrees, tons of oil pressure, disgusting, rules! Aha! Dulcich, that was awesome. I mean, I'm happy I won. Did you see I went 12:21?
I really wanted to beat you, but there was no way. That is the faster car for sure.
Well, I'm just super stoked that this went 13:19.
Yeah.
To run that at 3,500 feet of elevation with this is great, and it tells me, as I think I warned you, that car will go 11.99.
Oh, it will. You ran 12:20?
12:21 at 112.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
and
thing scoots.
I can get that thing perfected. So we may have blown up the Caddy Gremmie. We may have driven here in a minivan, but you know what? This Zip-Tie Drags is another giant win. Let's go hang out with some fans.
Let's do it.
Boom, boom, boom. You may see Gremlin failure. All I can see is disgusting win. Running low 12s at altitude, and the vanishing paint also stout, low 13s. But I have to admit, the Gremlin did snatch defeat from the jaws of failure. As a matter of fact, I think it's becoming the new Roadkill Rotson, never failing to fail. But after we got this thing home, after the Zip-Tie Drags was over, we did tear it apart. We found out what went wrong with that Cadillac 500. And it wasn't the engine builder's fault, and it wasn't even our fault. You want to find out what happened? You're gonna have to look for it on an upcoming episode of Roadkill Garage, because we fixed that junk.
Really, this is just a precursor. The real episode is about the road trip and the Zip-Tie Drags event.
This isn't the precursor. Well, I guess it is, because the real cursing is about to begin.
Yeah. I don't know the history of donuts, but I can tell you this. This is a custard-filled donut. I'm going to consume the entire custard-filled donuts, and then I'm going to proceed into a diabetic seizure.
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to handle something for you here.
No. Give me away with me. Those are my own.
I was waiting in the garden, contemplating, beg your pardon. There's a part of me that recognizes you. Do you feel it too? When you told me we're serious, we're serious. They told me they were only curious. Now it's serious.
Didn't even know I wasted it all just to watch you go. I kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to me will eventually be a memory of a time when I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I don't know why, it doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind, I designed this rhyme to remind myself how I tried so hard. In spite of the way you were mocking me, acting like I was part of your property, remembering all the times you fought with me. I'm surprised it got so. Things aren't the way